Hi, everybody. It's JB back again with episode 13 in my Did You Ever Wonder local history video series. This one is called Why Is It Named That? That's why things around town have the name they do. Of course, there are like a zillion of these, so I've just chosen a few. My title slide here is of the Arkansas College. I want to use this now. I'm going to use it in the next video. I'm going to talk a lot more about it, so I won't talk too much about it here. The Arkansas College was on College Avenue, which I might as well just say that up front. That's why College Avenue has its name, not because of the University of Arkansas, but because of this Arkansas College, which was here from 1850 to 1861. And I'll talk, like I said, I'll talk more about it later in the next video. And of course, when you say why is it named that, I could probably do a couple of videos just on why street names are named what they are, but we'll hold that off for now. Anyway, so that's just the title slide. And well, anyway, real quick, it sets the Arkansas College there in the middle. This sets basically where the First Christian Church is now. This is Dickson Street, kind of over here. That's actually headquarters house, that last little building there in the corner, the Baxter House, which is exactly like it there. Anyway, it's set basically where First Christian Church is today. Okay, so our first building I want to talk about, the city admin building, is actually the Wolf Building. And you may go, well, why is it called the Wolf Building? And that's because it was built, he had it built, I like to say. A.F. Wolf, Artemus Floyd Wolf, is the person who had that building built in 0405. There was a big building boom around town then. The historic courthouse and the Ozark Theater were also built in that time frame. Anyway, Wolf had become wealthy selling town sites for the railroad, and he had this building built in. This was built in 06. In 0405, my apologies, in 0405, he had the Arkansas building taken apart piece by piece from the St. Louis World's Fair and reconstructed, put back together piece by piece up on Mount Nord, directly across the street, across Mock Street from where the Fulbright home is now, up towards Maple. And it was set up on that hill. Anyway, Wolf died young of a fever. He was about 35 years old. I think I've talked about him before. And just so you know, that Isla Street over near Wilson Park, that's named after his wife. Anyway, the admin building was renovated in 1936 by T. Ewing Shelton, and it's also renovated in 1984. I don't know who did that renovation. But anyway, so that's the Wolf Building. That's on West Mountain, just off the square, as most of you probably already know. Okay, the second named place is Smoky Row, which is East Center Street from East Avenue down to College Avenue, looking dead straight at what is now called the historic Washington County Courthouse. And of course, there are a lot of theories about why it's called Smoky Row. The guys hanging out there used to be bars, saloons all up and down here and stuff, and a cigar factory and things like that. And people said it was guys hanging around smoking and loitering about. But Richard Greer, who was raised on this block, reported that what it was that the mist and the fog in the mornings off of this dirt street. You can see in the picture here, it's still dirt in this picture, a great reflection of the courthouse up in the top. Anyway, the mist and fog off the street blended with the smoke of wood fires in those saloons and businesses along East Center Street. And that's why it's called Smoky Row. Now it's almost, most people don't remember this, the Wolf Building and the one before, and very few people remember this as Smoky Row now, but it used to be a really rough and rowdy part of town. Another place that's almost, well, there's a part of it still called that, but Shulertown, which is down on Dickson Street, outside the university. Schulertown was named after Fred Schuler. We had a pharmacist here in town named A.C. McAdams. I think I've talked about him before. He opened a live and let live pharmacy on the square around 1898. It's up where the visitor center is now. That's where it was, the live and let live pharmacy. That was a chain of pharmacies owned by pharmacists. Anyway, he opened a store down in 1901, opened another pharmacy down on Dickson at 420 West Dickson. And this picture is approximately there, approximately where that would have been. Anyway, and Fred Schuler had worked for him up on the square, and he made him the manager there. And for whatever reasons, Mr. Schuler, who was only here just a few years, he became so popular with the U of A students that they began calling this area Schulertown. Now, I think further back up to the east, up the hill a little bit there, that there's a food area in there, and I think they're calling that Schulertown now. But anyway, that's what it is. That's why it's called Schulertown. A fellow named Fred Schuler. Now, down at MLK and Government Avenue in that little area is an area called Quicktown, which was reported really well in a flashback by my friend Danielle Campbell. Did a great job. This is a map taken from there. It's called Quicktown. It was an operation from about 1883 to 1908. It's named after the family of Quick. That was the last name. And they had stores you can see here in the in the map here. You can see these numbered things: blacksmith shop, residence, secondhand store, things like that, a mercantile. The father was named James and the son was named William. And you can see, this is real fun now because every one of these streets here, except Greg and West, these four over here have all been renamed. Quick Street is now Greg Street. Bridge Street is now Prairie, to help you orient. Cemetery Road is a government road that's heading down, as my cursor is dropping down, that's heading towards the National Cemetery. And Wall Street would become 6th Street and is now MLK. And see that number 5 in that little box? That's where that new 3 or 4 years now, I guess, the Walmart neighborhood market, that's where that is. Anyway, one thing I wanted to point out about these here, if you go down there about where that number 2 is, it says that's William Quick's residence. If you're down that area off Prairie and Greg, right in there, you can see the elevated pad on the ground there where his home used to stand. So it's just one of those little things I love to do, where something used to be, there's nothing there now, but there's a little indication of what it was. Anyway, so that's Quicktown, if you hear people talking about that. And then the next one I was going to do is that a lot of you may know that Mount Sequoia was originally called East Mountain. And this is a picture of it from around 1905 when it was still East Mountain. It might be a little hard to see, but if you look in here, that's the St. James Methodist Church right there on Willow. So this little path running, from side to side here, south to north, that's Willow right there. And up among these trees is, what's that, Walnut. And this hill up here and going up here to Olive. And over this direction is a Confederate cemetery and so forth. But this is shots taken, I think, from the upper part of the historic Washington County Courthouse. And then here's a shot I took in 2012 of this kind of the same area here. St. James still there. And that's Willow running across here. And these are the projects. Of course, Lincoln School once stood right here on that corner where my cursor is circling. And here, behind here's Walnut. And you can see there are houses now dotting that hill over there. And anyway, it became Mount Sequoia in 1922 when the Western Methodist Assembly bought that property. And now we have the big complex up there on Mount Sequoia. So anyway, so that was just a quick one there. Did you ever wonder why is it named that? Just about 5 or 6 places I covered. There are literally dozens that we could do. And I may cover them at a later date, like the street names. I may do something on street names. And there's lots of others around town. Just real quick, and it's the north end of the east side of the Fayetteville Square, the building that used to be at the end, Hunt's. That was the stone building, and that was called the Stone Corner. The other end of the east side at the very end had a building. I can't remember what was in it anymore when I was a kid. It's all replaced by the Prayer Center now. That was Paddock's Corner. He was a dentist, I believe, or a doctor. And anyway, you get that sort of thing. They used to call buildings by their person's name that had put it up, that sort of thing. And we even still have today, like on the northwest corner of the square, we have the Easton building. So you can see that's still in effect there. Anyway, so I just want to do a little quick one there on the, why is it named that? And there's, like I said, we could do episode after episode probably on this sort of thing. Anyway, so thanks for joining me again. Appreciate it very much. I hope you're enjoying these to some degree, and thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.